Sawadee good morning and welcome to Newsline. Today is Friday, January 31st, 2014. My name is Suraphat Lautaranarit. In today's top stories, the Civil Court has agreed to deliberate a motion against government officials for illegitimately imposing the emergency decree. And in business news, the Commerce Ministry indicates that the political impasse is beginning to pose threats to local exports as some trading partners start making product orders from rival countries. Now let's take a look at today's headlines. His Royal Highness Crown Prince Mahawajiralongkorn officiated on behalf of His Majesty the King at the merit-making ceremony to mark the 100th day since the death of His Holiness Somdet Prayana Sangwon, the Supreme Patriarch, at Bawon Niwet Monastery in Bangkok. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, accompanied by the Princess Consort, Her Royal Highness Princess Sirat, arrived at the monastery at 5:30 p.m. He lit candles and incense sticks to pay respect to the principal Buddha image before presenting royal offerings to a chapter of 10 monks, who then chanted holy stanzas. This was followed by a sermon given by the chief monk, at the end of which His Royal Highness presented Buddhist robes as well as other necessities to the monks. His Holiness Somdet Prayana Sangwon, the Supreme Patriarch, passed away on October 24, 2013, from an infection in his blood vessels at the age of 100 years and 21 days. His remains have been laid in state at Tamnak Phet Building, Bawon Niwet Monastery, waiting for a royally sponsored cremation to be scheduled. His Holiness Somdet Prayana Sangwon is the first senior monk who plays a vital role for the propagation of Buddhism overseas. He is highly revered not only in Thailand but also among Buddhists in foreign countries. As such, the Myanmar government has bestowed upon him the title of Apitcha Maharat Kuru, which is the highest ecclesiastical title of the Myanmar Sangha. The World Buddhist Supreme Conference, Buddhist Summit, along with the Supreme Buddhist leaders of 32 countries of the world, in 2012 also bestowed the title of Supreme Holiness of World Buddhism on him. Prime Minister and Defense Minister Yingluck Shinawatra posted on her Facebook fan page calling on the public to exercise their voting rights in the upcoming general election. Ms. Yingluck posted on her official Facebook page inviting the press and the general public to campaign for voting in the coming general election in order to move the country forward. She further stated that voting is a democratic right and would be a means to allow the country to progress ahead and avoid violent clashes within the society. Prime Minister Yingluck also asked all security-related agencies to facilitate the Election Commission's duty in carrying out the February 2nd general election. Member of the Election Commission or EC, Somchai Sri Suthiyakon, has admitted difficulty in holding the general election in the South and indicated a possibility of deferring the election day to March if ballots cannot be cast. Mr. Somchai revealed that ballot papers for the constituency system had already arrived in every province and were waiting to be distributed to each polling booth on February 1st. However, he said the party-less ballots were problematic, as the ones to be used in 14 southern provinces were trapped inside the post offices in Nakhon Si Thammarat, Chumphon, and Songkhla provinces due to protesters' besiegement of the premises. The election commissioner pointed out that even if the polls were to go on without the party-list ballots, there were no constituency MP candidates registered in 8 provinces in the South, accounting for 28 constituencies. Under the circumstance, he admitted that the election in the region might have to be rescheduled, possibly for March 2nd. On the other hand, Mr. Somchai expressed interest in a recent statement made by Mr. Suthep Thuk Suban, Secretary General of the People's Democratic Reform Committee. Mr. Suthep reportedly claimed that the upcoming election would violate Section 108 of the Constitution, given it would fail to be completed within 45 to 60 days after the House dissolution. The Center for Maintaining Peace and Order, or CMPO, will deploy 5,000 police officers at all polling stations in the capital and request the Army to send officers to provide security in southern border provinces on the election day. CMPO Director Cherlem Yubamrung said he would talk with National Police Chief Police General Adun Sang Sing Keo about sending forces to take ballot papers back after a group of people surrounded the Han Yai Grand Postal Building to prevent the Postal Service from distributing ballot papers to southern constituencies. The center would also ask the Secretary General of the National Security Council to help maintain peace and order in the 3 southern border provinces during the national election. In Bangkok, 5,000 police officers will be deployed to facilitate voters' journey to polling stations and prevent interceptions of ballot paper shipment. Regarding the anti-government protesters' walk to campaign against the election on February 2nd, Mr. Cherlem said the protesters could parade in a peaceful manner and discouraged them from closing down polling stations since they would face legal actions. Masses of people demonstrated in support of Sunday's general election at several spots in Bangkok, while also calling for the People's Democratic Reform Committee, or PDRC, to respect the rights of others. Students from various schools assembled under the banner of Respect My Future Network to conduct a candle lighting activity on the pedestrian flyover in front of the University of the Thai Chamber of Commerce in Dindang. Although many of the students at the event were not of voting age, they expressed support for the election. The group also called on the PDRC to respect the rights of others, explaining that the PDRC protests and roadblocks had caused them increased travel time to school, and schools near the protest sites had to cancel classes frequently. In Nonthaburi, locals flew 3 powered paragliders bearing signs inviting the public to partake in Sunday's election and expressing support for the democratic process. Another group of election supporters in the province released balloons and lit candles to express their standpoint in urging for peace in the nation. The Transport Company Limited has affirmed that its bus services will be provided as usual for people who are planning to return to their hometowns in a bid to cast their votes on February 2nd. As the general election is approaching this Sunday, throngs of eligible voters in Bangkok are set to travel home in other provinces so as to exercise their voting rights. Managing Director of the Transport Company, Wuthichat Kalayanamit, expected the number of bus passengers to surge from today onwards. He said preparations were being made in order to facilitate the passengers' interprovincial journeys, with bus trips being increased on all routes. Mr. Wuthichat added that travelers on the north and northeast bound routes could board their buses at the Rangsit terminal for their convenience, without having to come to the Bangkok bus terminal in the Jatuchak area. Tickets will be available at the ticket booths of each terminal as usual. The managing director insisted that the company was fully ready to serve all passengers and there would be enough buses for their demand. The Civil Court has agreed to deliberate a motion submitted by a core leader of the People's Democratic Reform Committee, or PDRC, against government officials for illegitimately imposing the emergency decree to control protesters. PDRC core leader Thawan Sen Niam appeared at the Civil Court to hear the court's decision whether to accept his motion against Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra, Chief of the Center for Maintaining Peace and Order Cherlem Yubamrung, and National Police Chief Adun Sang Sing Keo for their excessive use of power in declaring the state of emergency. The motion seeks a court order to deactivate the emergency law and a temporary injunction against a protest crackdown. According to their verdict, the judges saw fit to accept the motion for deliberation. They elaborated that although the law authorizes the administrative body to impose the emergency decree to resolve emergency situations, the people are by no means to be deprived of their rights and freedom when the decree is in place. The defendants are required to submit their clarifications within 3 days, while a trial to hear their defense statements will take place on February 6th at 9 a.m. However, since it is a civil case, the defendants will not need to appear before the court by themselves. As for the requested temporary injunction, the court has already summoned Mr. Thawon and former Secretary General of the National Security Council, Thawin Pliansi, for testimony. The judges will deliver their verdict today at 3 p.m. Lampang Province has opened an ASEAN Information Center in a bid to educate locals and enhance their potential ahead of the ASEAN Community Formation in 2015. The newly opened ASEAN Information Center is located inside the Provincial City Hall. According to Governor Thanin Supasan, who presided over the opening ceremony, the center will be providing an all-round knowledge about the upcoming ASEAN community to both locals and government officials. In a bid to prepare the province for the change, Lampang has drawn up a strategy focusing on the development of 4 sectors, which include economy, society, politics, and environment. The governor advised that all personnel in each sector improve themselves by adopting new technologies, and that they should get involved in every process of the development. By doing so, Governor Thanin assured that the province would become as competitive as others when the era of ASEAN community comes. And that's the end of our first segment. We'll take a short break now, and coming up next, gold sales have dropped by 10% as worries over the political crisis in Thailand have adversely affected consumers' decision. Don't go away, we'll be right back. Open the world of information. Embrace public participation. Present Thainess to the world. New dimension of the government's public relations. The 80th anniversary of the Public Relations Department. Creative media for the society. Mobilizing Thailand towards the ASEAN community.
เมื่อมนุษย์ทำลายสมดุลทางธรรมชาติแล้วมนุษย์ก็เป็นผู้ประสบภัยพิบัติจากธรรมชาติร่วมสร้างอนาคตลดภัยพิบัติระดมพลังพลิกฟื้นคืนผืนป่าในทุกชุมชนทั่วประเทศ
For those who have Android smartphones, you can download a PRD News application by searching for PRD News English in Play Store. That way, you can stay up to date with the latest happenings in Thailand.
And now moving on to the business front. The Commerce Ministry indicated that the political impasse is beginning to pose threats to local exports as some trading partners start making product orders from rival countries. Permanent Secretary for Commerce Sirat Rathapana stated that the export situation would be worsened if the political situation does not improve soon. She also said that there are other risk elements to Thailand's exporting sector, such as the fluctuating baht value and the subsequent rise in production cost. Nonetheless, the Commerce Ministry has instructed commercial counselors at Thai embassies worldwide to clarify the current political situation in Thailand and boost foreign trading partners' confidence by reassuring them of Thailand's capacity to deliver goods despite the negative political factors. In addition, the ministry has plans to promote exports by hosting a few more trade exhibitions in the country during February to April. Surveys will also be launched among Thai exporters and trading partners to find out their obstacles and enable the ministry to address the problems. The Commerce Ministry still maintains the export growth target this year at 5%. Gold sales during this Chinese New Year have dropped by 10%, as worries over the political crisis in Thailand have adversely affected consumers' decision, said the Gold Trader Association. The comment was made by Mr. Jitti Tangsit-Phakdi, the president of the association, who pointed out that political gatherings prompted consumers to be extra careful with their spending, adding that protesters also made traveling to gold shops more difficult. However, he was confident that gold sales would pick up at the end of the Chinese New Year festival. He also speculated that gold prices would gain a momentum after Lunar New Year, citing the public debt ceiling issue and the U.S.'s quantitative easing measure as the main factors dictating the prices. According to him, gold prices would likely move between $1,170 to $1,450 per troy ounce in the international market, while domestic gold should be traded in the range of 17,000 to 22,000 baht per 1 baht weight of gold. Singapore shares hit 5-month lows on Thursday, posting their biggest monthly drop since August, with most others in Southeast Asia slipping amid renewed risk aversion after the U.S. Federal Reserve further scaled back its stimulus. In Bangkok, the SET index fell for a fourth session, down 0.6% in low volumes, on worries that the election on Sunday could turn violent. The index closed at 1,264.07, the lowest since January 10th. In Singapore, the benchmark Straits Times Index ended down 0.7% at 3,027.22, the lowest level since September 4th. It posted a 4.4% fall in January. Stock markets in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines will be closed for the Lunar New Year holiday today. Foreign-led selling sent Philippine shares down 0.5% on the day, trimming their monthly gains to 2.6%. The Philippine board said foreign investors sold a net $20 million worth of shares on Thursday. And it's time now for another quick break, but before that, let's have a look at the exchange rates and commodity prices. Open the world of information. Embrace public participation. Present Thailand to the world. New dimension of the government's public relations. The 80th anniversary of the Public Relations Department. Creative media for the society. Mobilizing Thailand towards the ASEAN community.
เมื่อมนุษย์ทำลายสมดุลทางธรรมชาติแล้วมนุษย์ก็เป็นผู้ประสบภัยพิบัติจากธรรมชาติร่วมสร้างอนาคตลดภัยพิบัติระดมพลังพลิกฟื้นคืนผืนป่าในทุกชุมชนทั่วประเทศ
For those who have Android smartphones, you can download a PRD News application by searching for PRD News English in Play Store. That way, you can stay up to date with the latest happenings in Thailand.
Welcome back once again. You're watching Newsline. Thais of Chinese descent went about with the usual ceremonies associated with Chinese New Year, although the atmosphere of celebration was not as lively compared to the previous year. In Yaowarat, the Bangkok Chinatown, Chinese descendants paid homage to various revered shrines in the district to seek prosperity during the Year of the Horse. In Ratchaprasong district, business operators and vendors held Chinese New Year festivities on the Skywalk elevated walkway to stimulate tourism and foster tourist confidence. The businessmen and stall owners have been afflicted by the political rallies that ate away tourist arrivals and spending. In Phuket province, Thais of Chinese descent were donning red on Thursday when they gathered at the homes of senior relatives to pay respect to their ancestors. Many of them reportedly prayed to their families' deities, asking for peace and tranquility to return to the country. The Airports of Thailand, or AOT, expects throngs of travelers to pack Suvarnabhumi Airport during Chinese New Year. The company has advised celebrants to allow enough time for reaching the airport and to refrain from bringing prohibited items onto the planes. The AOT stated that during the Chinese New Year festival, which lasts from January 27th to February 8th this year, Suvarnabhumi Airport is expected to see more than 2 million travelers using the airport. As for Don Mueang Airport, a 20% increase in the number of travelers is expected during the holiday compared to last year. Travelers are therefore advised to allocate themselves enough time to reach the airports on time. Moreover, the AOT has also reminded passengers not to bring on board prohibited items. Before checking in, any liquids of more than 1,000 millimeters must be packed into luggage to be loaded onto the plane, whereas bottles of liquid of less than 100 millimeters must be put together in a 20 by 20 centimeter clear plastic Ziploc bag in order to be brought on as carry-on items. However, the liquid must not exceed 1,000 millimeters altogether. And that's it for today's edition of Newsline. If you have any comments or suggestions, please feel free to email us at newsline.nbt@gmail.com. And now we're going to leave you with 2 very cute miniature horses at Dusit Zoo to welcome the Year of the Horse. I'm Surapal Lautharanarit. Happy New Year and have a great weekend. สวัสดีครับ